Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about hooks, how to tune hooks and how hooks should fly and how to throw them properly to get the right flight and good returns. First let me say I've just redesigned my hooks. I used to have 3 different sizes and these are all exact copies, they're just reductions. This was the original 15-inch Verge, 12-inch Dahlia, and this is a 10-inch Sunset. Over time, as I've tried to make the larger Verge go farther, I've actually discovered that it's easier to make the medium-size Dahlia go even farther than the Verge. Reason is basically longer wings, more lift, less range. If you want more range, you got to put more weight, more weight, more weight. Got to the point where this was so heavy with lead weights that it was really hard to throw. So hard to throw, not as much range, more material, not really easy to catch because it's got this big hole in the center. So I've decided to stop making the larger version. So now I just have the 2 smaller versions, the Sunset and the Dahlia. This is a 10-inch 4mm version and a 12-inch 5mm version. But I wanted more variety. I wanted some hooks that were easier to throw. I wanted some hooks that were farther, that go about 75 or 80 meters. So what I've done, I've put much larger weights in the Dahlia. And this will go out 75, 80 meters with the right throw. But I also decided to make a couple without weights. So these are very short range. The Sunset goes about 35 meters. The Dahlia goes about 45 meters, the unweighted ones. Now on top of that, the original weighted Sunset, I've put bigger weights in. So now we have a 60-meter 10-inch Boomerang. So with the Sunsets, unweighted 35 meters, weighted 60 meters. With the Dahlia, unweighted 45 meters, weighted 75 meters. Or even more with the right tuning. But now, speaking of tuning, I just spent the last week test flying and tuning all of these hooks, and I know better than anyone how finicky hooks can be. Sometimes they'll fly straight into the ground, sometimes they'll flip over the wrong direction. So the first thing we need to know about hooks is that every hook, let me use the Dahlia, it's easier to see, every hook needs dihedral. The wings need to be bent up slightly. And you can test this by putting it on a table, hold the elbow down with one hand. I don't know if you can see this. Let me try it here. Hold the elbow down with one hand, and then tap on the tips. You should have at least 1/8 of an inch, 3 millimeters of rise, at least. That's going to vary with each Boomerang, and you'll figure that out on the field. But once we have the dihedral in the Boomerangs, you'll notice this dihedral creates a spherical shape in the bottom of the Boomerang. Not exactly spherical, but we call this bowl tuning. With dihedral on both tips, the elbow is actually angled up too, so it's spherical. That allows the Boomerang to finish the curve at the end instead of S-ing out to the left for a right-handed thrower. That's critical to getting a good return with a hook. Now the problem is, we'll go out to the field, take this Boomerang, and throw it. If it has too much dihedral, it's going to rise up and flip over the wrong way, and it's going to crash. And when you're throwing an 80-meter hook and it crashes, it's going to be 100 meters away. So you got to keep your eye on it. If that happens, you need to bring a little bit of dihedral out. And this is all you have to do. There's nothing, you don't have to like crank it, you don't have to steam it, you don't have to microwave it, anything like that. This wood is fine to tune by hand, no matter what anybody else tells you. Second thing, they have to be laid over. We always talk about throwing Boomerangs vertically, but when you start to get into more distance, Boomerangs that have more distance have less lift. They have less lift, you need to go more and more and more to the side so that that little amount of lift will keep it off the ground. Now these wood hooks, 1:30 to 2 o'clock is a good angle. The lighter ones without the weight, you can stand them up a little bit more. 1 o'clock, 1:30 right in there. The 75-meter one, you really need to get it laid out 2 o'clock. That's about 30 degrees up from the ground, about 60 degrees layover. So once you've got that and you're out testing, I always recommend throw lightly at first. See what it's doing before you go with the full throw. If it is, if there's not enough dihedral, it's going to go into the ground. So if you throw really hard, you might crash it too hard into the ground, chip it up, you might even break it. If there's too much dihedral, it'll flip over to the right for a right-handed thrower. So if you throw really hard the first time, it's going to go really high, flip over, and again you might damage the boomerang. So always start out with a gentle throw, see what the boomerang's doing, and then work up the power from there. Now, if the boomerang is flipping over to the right, like we said, bring the dihedral out. If the boomerang is diving to the ground, you need a little bit more dihedral. After you get the boomerang flying the way you want, this is especially true of the longer range boomerangs. I've got this tuned just the way I want. Nice flight. It goes out, rises up a little bit, and banks into me. It doesn't S out at the end. Now I can get more range by forcing the bowl effect, actually twisting negative into this wing. That will have the same effect as dihedral. It'll make it want to flip over. So compensate by putting the bowl effect in this wing too. So again, we've got the dihedral we want, but now we're twisting more negative and a little bit more positive. Now you're going to get more range. But wait to do that. Wait until you get the right flight and you know your boomerang. So anyway, those are the 4 new hooks. The Sunset 35, the weighted Sunset 60, I'm getting them all confused, the Dahlia 45 unweighted, and the Dahlia 75 with big monster weights. Very soon I will have a 100-meter wood boomerang on the market, so stay tuned and I'll let you know when that comes out. For now, have fun with your hooks, and I'll have a link to the product at the bottom of the video. Talk to you soon.